Here's just a close-up of the dolls. You could see her curly hair in the front, her little reindeer earrings, she has a reindeer on her cape as well, and I made her hat so it comes off, and I'll show you that after I show you a little bit of the outfit. Here's her design on her outfit. And then she's holding a little jar. It's an ornament with a jar filled with candy. You can have fun with any ornaments that you find, and you can change it up. For her, I have the candy filled jar ornament, and then also she has a little wine glass ornament. So this one, it looks like the wine is pouring in the glass. I thought it was really cute. For Santa, I'm just going to show you what Santa looks like. There's a separate video tutorial for Santa's crochet hat, and I sewed his hat in place so it's not going to come off. His mustache and his beard, his mittens, belt, pants, and boots. And then Mrs. Santa's boots. For the snow patch, I showed two different methods for the snow patch. And I also used a copper wire for mine that I got from the hardware store. It's 30 inches long and it's very malleable, so you can bend it. And you can see how well it holds up Santa and Mrs. Santa. This is what the Santa looks like from behind. And the copper wire goes under the outfit. You can see how it goes into the snow patch. And then you can't see the copper wire going into the back of Mrs. Santa's dress. And this is the back of her hat and the back of her outfit. This is Mrs. Santa's bun. So again, her hat is removable. I just wanted to show you that the dolls are removable from the stands. This is what the stand looks like when you take the doll off of the stand. And I show again the two different methods. So with this one, if you're gifting this, the person can use the stand as a pot holder, so anything warm will be able to go on this beautiful tile. And then you can just take the wire rack right out of the snow patch. So it's really easy to remove. And then the snow patch has an opening on it. So I show you how to do that. For the other one, I show you a different method. If you don't have this tile and you don't want to buy this stand, you can use a little wire pot holder stand. So again, you just take out and you can use this pot holder stand also. So those are the two different methods that I used for my stands. Now I just want to show you the setup that I have for the Santa and Mrs. Santa. Here's their sleigh with the Santa bag inside. You see the Santa sign, the reindeer, Santa Claus, Mrs. Santa Claus. This was an idea that Denise had for me. She wanted one of these. She collects Santa Claus, and I just love this idea that she gave me. I love my set. She already has hers. Here's a little gingerbread house that I found, and it has all of the days for counting down for Christmas. The little North Pole globe on top is a solar light, so that actually lights up, and it's solar. You could see the little table that I created and the little gingerbread cookie right on top. For this crochet project, I'm using my 3.75mm crochet hook. And I'm also using my 5mm crochet hook, mainly for the hats and the outfits. Also, you're going to need a tapestry needle and a pair of scissors. You're also going to need some safety doll eyes. I use Suncatcher craft eyes, and I'm using the green ones as well as the brown colored eyes, and these are sized 15mm. They have a nice safety latch that goes onto the back of the eyes. Those were my other ones. These are the safety latches that go with these. I also used my small pom-pom maker by Clover. For the doll itself, I used Caron 1 pound. This is more information about the yarn, and then the color that I used was cream colored. And again, this is 100% acrylic yarn. Just some information, because I know that some people don't have access to this type of yarn, so they have to buy equivalent yarn. For one set that I made, I used my homespun white yarn, which works great. But for video tutorial, I'm going to try using a different colored yarn. This is by Gala Yarns. It's a mixed fiber yarn that I got for Big Lots. It was in my stash. I got a good buy on this yarn. Here's some information if you like this similar style of yarn. For the outfits and the hats, I just used my cherry red Heart yarn. For the belt buckle, I used Lion Brand Yarns Hometown USA. The color was Pittsburgh Yellow. It's a nice thick yarn. It's a super bulky 6, but you can use whatever gold yarn that you have for your belt buckle. If you really liked the thick yellow yarn that I used for Santa's belt, I can't stress enough how difficult it was to sew through the chain with this thicker yarn. So an idea, I show you how I did it, because that's all I did was just use this yarn to sew the belt in place. But an alternative, either use a sewing needle and yellow thread, or you could use a similar colored embroidery yarn and stitch with that to sew it in place. You're going to need a black yarn for the mittens and the boots for Santa Claus and for Mrs. Santa Claus. The mittens for Mrs. Santa Claus, I used my white yarn. And you could either use Red Heart yarn, or I just used Craft Smart Value yarn. This was some of my leftover yarn, so you'll only need one skein and you'll have some left over. The other yarn that I used was I Love This Cotton. This is a glittery pink yarn that I used for the Santa and the Mrs. Santa nose and mouth. For mine, this is what you have plenty of the Caron 1 pound if you decide to use that for your dolls. Plenty left over for more dolls. I have barely any of the skein left of the homespun yarn and the white Craft Smart yarn. So if you use just the Craft Smart or the easier white yarn, then you may need 2 skeins of that for this project. And then the jumbo cherry red yarn, I only needed 1 skein of that for this project. For my stand, as well, I used this thick copper wire. I actually got it from the hardware store. Mine is 30 inches in length, and the reason why I like this one is because you can bend it and shape it. So what I did was I shaped 2 of them. I also used these little hot pad for your pots and stuff. I used this as a stand. So I used this style, the wire style. The other style that I used, which I'm going to put on top of this snow patch, which I'll show you, is this beautiful coaster. This is also for setting your warm pots on, or you can just use it as decoration. I have a separate video tutorial that shows how I made these hot pad dresses that go with these. So I have plenty of hot pad. So I'm going to use these for my Santa and Mrs. Santa, and also be able to take them out so I can use them during the year and then use them as stands, Christmas stands, during the holidays. We're going to start by making the head. So you're going to grab your cream colored yarn or whatever your yarn you're using for the main color for the doll. We're going to start with the magic circle. So you're just going to take your yarn, drape it across your 4 fingers, use your thumb to stabilize, then wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers, and then hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. Then just take your 3.75 millimeter crochet hook, go under those 2 loops that you put around your middle fingers, go ahead and bring up a loop, then yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through that loop for a slip knot. Then we're going to make 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So you just take your crochet hook, go under those 2 loops around your middle fingers, bring up a loop, then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and then go through both loops for a single crochet. Then you're going to make 6 single crochet into the magic circle. Then just take your forefinger and your thumb, hold the base of the 6 single crochet. You have these 2 loops on the opposite side. Go ahead and pull on one of them to close the magic circle. If it doesn't close, let go and pull on the other one, but this one's closing. Don't worry if you don't get it closed all the way, just close it as much as you can. Then take your loose yarn end and pull on that, because we can close it more later if we need to. Then just turn your work. We're going to work into that first stitch of the magic circle. So you just take your crochet hook, go into that first stitch. You're going to grab both loops of the stitch. Then you're going to bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through both for a single crochet. Then you're going to go into the same stitch. You want to place 2 single crochet into every stitch around until you have a total of 12 stitches. So I'll make one more set with you. I'm going to go into the next stitch and make 2 single crochet into the same stitch, and then I'll have a total of 4. So go ahead, finish making 2 single crochet in every stitch around until you have a total of 12 stitches, and then come
This
back.
is how your work should look so far.
You can see how I have an opening in the center of my magic circle. You can just turn your work over and then pull on that loose yarn end, and then that will close that magic circle nicely. So now you should have a total of 12 stitches around your circle. Go ahead and take your yarn marker, place it right where you left off. I just use one of my scraps of yarn as a yarn marker. And we're going to start making increase rounds around the magic circle, meaning we're going to increase the number of stitches around this circle for each round. For the first increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. And then you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. I'll make one more set with you. 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. Go ahead, repeat that pattern all the way around, back to the yarn marker, and then come back. You should have finished with a total of 18 stitches around your circle. So you can see how we increased the number of stitches to 18 around your magic circle. Then we're going to get ready for the next increase round. For those of you that have worked with me before, I'm going to be increasing to 1 single crochet into 4 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the 5th stitch. Now, what you're going to do next is just take your yarn marker, move it up to where you left off. For the next increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches.
So 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 3rd stitch. Then go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 3rd stitch. You should have finished with 24 stitches around your circle for that round. Go ahead and move your yarn marker up to where you left off, and then for the next increase round you're going to make 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 4th stitch. Then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. You should have finished with 30 stitches on that round. Then go ahead and move your yarn marker up. For the last increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 4 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 5th stitch. Go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So that was our last increase round, and you should have ended up with 36 stitches around. So now for each round that we're going to make now, you're going to have the exact same number of stitches each time you work around your circle. So go ahead and move your yarn marker up, and then you're only going to make 1 single crochet into every stitch around for 6 rounds. So each time you pass the yarn marker, you don't need to take the yarn marker out, you just leave it in place. It'll help you keep track of your rounds. And that means that each time you get around to the yarn marker, you'll have the same exact stitch count. If you have more stitches, that means it's going to continue to get larger, which is what you don't want. You want it to stay the same size now. So 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 6 You should have finished 6 rounds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And because you kept the stitches all the same, you can see how it forms a cup, which is what you want. Now we're going to make 2 more increase rounds. So go ahead and take your yarn marker and place it up where you left off. For the first increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into the 1st stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the 2nd stitch. Then go ahead, repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So 1 single crochet into the 1st stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the 2nd stitch. Repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. You should have had 54 stitches on that round, and you can see how it makes like a little bell shaped outer rim, and that's to form the cheeks for the doll. So now we're going to make our last increase round. Go ahead and take your yarn marker and move it up. Then you're going to make 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 3rd stitch. Then go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into your 3rd stitch. Then repeat that pattern all the way around. So I just finished that increase round, and I have 72 stitches all the way around. You can see how it makes a little outpouching. Now we're going to make our decrease round. So go ahead and move your yarn marker up to where you left off. Then you're going to make 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. Then make your decrease stitch, or single crochet 2 together. Go ahead and take your crochet hook, go into the next stitch and bring up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook, go into the next stitch over and bring up a loop. 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 3 for a decrease stitch. Then you're going to repeat that pattern, 1 single crochet into 4 stitches, and then your decrease stitch. Repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So I had 60 stitches after completing that round. Now we're going to make our next decrease round. Go ahead and move your yarn marker up. For this round, you're going to make one single crochet into 3 stitches. And then make your decrease stitch. And then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. You should have finished with 48 stitches for that round. Then we're going to make one more decrease round. Go ahead and take and move your yarn marker up. For this decrease round, you're going to make one single crochet into 2 stitches. And then you're going to make your decrease stitch or single crochet 2 together. Then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. You should have finished with 36 stitches for that round. Now we're going to make 2 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch. So that means you're no longer decreasing your stitches and you're no longer increasing. You want the same number of stitches, 36, when you reach the yarn marker for 2 rounds. After you finish your second round of one single crochet into every stitch, you can go ahead and remove your yarn marker. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the next stitch over. So just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. Then go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. And also you can tell where the back of your work is. We're going to come back to that later to close it. For now, we're going to make the face and the hair for the doll. You're going to need 2 of these if you're making Santa and Mrs. Santa Claus. I used the glittery I Love This Cotton yarn, pink glittery yarn for the nose. That's optional. You can use the same colored yarn as the doll if you want to for the nose, but I wanted to make a pink nose. You can use the regular colored yarn for the nose if you want to. For Mrs. Claus, I used my pink yarn for her nose. You're going to start with the magic circle the same way that you did for the head. You're going to make your slip knot. But this time, for the nose, you're only going to place 3 single crochet into the magic circle. Then you're going to grab the base of the 3 single crochet, just like you did for the head. Go ahead and close it up gently. This time, you're not going to work in the opposite side. You're just going to make a chain of 1 and then turn your work. Then you're going to make 1 single crochet into the next stitch. Then you're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. So go into that next stitch or last stitch, yarn over, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. Then you're going to go ahead and finish off, and then pull enough yarn through to sew the nose onto your doll. And this is what my little button nose looks like. Then just take your nose, and I made sure that my loose yarn end is towards the back of the head, and then I placed the nose right above where the outpouching is for the cheeks, or you can count down from the center of the magic circle. So here you can count, here's the magic circle, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So just beneath the 10th round is the top of the nose. Then take your tapestry needle and just sew it in place. This is how my nose looks after I've sewn it in place. For her mouth, I just used the same pink yarn or whatever color that you want for the mouth and just come up. Here is the bottom of the nose. I went 1 row down and about a stitch over. And then just come up to the front with your tapestry needle. Then you're just going to go over. I went over a couple of stitches and down 1 row, back in. Then I'm going to go up. So I went across about 2 stitches again, and then up 1 row, and then back down in the same spot at the bottom. Now you could either stop here or you can go across the front if you want. I'm just going to leave my mouth just like that and then just tie a knot on the inside. Then you can go ahead and place your eyes. This is how I placed my eyes. So here you can see the top row of the nose. That's where I placed the bottom portion of the eyes. And I have about 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches between the eyes. This is what the safety latches look like on the other side. So you can see that those are not going to go through. They're really nice and sturdy. Once you get them on, they're not coming off. So make sure that you have the eyes placed where you want on your doll. To make the ears, I use the same colored yarn, the cream colored yarn. I'm going to start with the magic circle, just like we did for the head. This time, you're going to put 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So I just finished my slip knot. Now I'm going to make 6 single crochet into the magic circle, just like we did for the head. Then you're going to hold the base of the 6 single crochet, but this time we're going to do it just like we did for the nose. So go ahead and close it, but you're not going to work in the opposite stitch. You're going to chain 1, turn your work, then you're going to go into the next stitch over. So go into the next stitch over and make 2 single crochet into that next stitch. And then 2 single crochet into every stitch back to the opposite side. Now when you get to the opposite side, I have 1 stitch left. I'm just going to make a slip stitch into that last stitch. So I'm just going to yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops on the hook. Then I'm going to go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the ear onto the doll. And then you can pull on that loose yarn end to close up the center of the magic circle. And then you're going to need 2 ears made the exact same way. Now the ears are ready to be sewn onto the doll. So what I did with mine is just lined up with the center of the magic circle on the top of the head. And then I'm about 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches from the eye. Then just take your tapestry needle and then just sew along the edge of the ear only. Don't sew on the outer rim of the ear, just along the inside. Then, after you've finished sewing on the ears, then you can go ahead and get whatever color yarn that you're using for the hair and put that onto your tapestry needle. Then you're ready. Just come from the inside of the head with your tapestry needle, and you're ready to start tracing the hair line. So make sure you leave enough of the yarn on the inside for tying a knot. Then you can just kind of take your yarn and make the bang line for the front of the head. Then just come up along where you're having the bang line. This is how I'm making mine. Then I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot on the inside of the head. Then you can just continue going in and out and making the outline for all the areas that you want the hair to cover for your doll. When you come back, I'll show you what mine looks like. So here you can see the outline that I made for the front. And then I went all the way around behind the ears and then down the back of the head and then back up to the front again. And you're going to do the same thing for the Santa head, except for the Santa head I used my glittery, I love this cotton white yarn for his hair on top of his head. Now when you get back to the top, around back to where you started for the front bangs for Mrs. Claus, I made little loops. How I did that is I just took the yarn and then I'm going to go back in about a stitch over, and then I just kind of looped the yarn. You can make the loop as long as you want. Mine is about 1 inch that I looped the yarn, and then I just went all across the top, and I just looped the yarn all along the front bangs, just to give a little bit of a bangs look to the hair. Make sure that your loops don't get tangled. And then keep each of your loops the size that you want. I'm making mine all the same size. And then go ahead and finish that all the way across the front of the hair. You can see how cute that looks when you're done, the little loops in the front. Then you're just going to take your yarn and you're going to completely cover, just go in and out with your same colored yarn that you're using for the hair, and just completely cover the inside portion. So you just go in and out, covering all of this portion of hair with your yarn. To make the bun, I used my 5mm crochet hook, and I just took the yarn. You're going to start it the same way with the magic circle. You're going to make your slip knot. Then you're going to place 6 single crochet into the magic circle. Then you're going to hold the base of the 6 single crochet and close up the magic circle. Then turn your work, and this time you are going to go in that first stitch on the opposite side. And you're going to make 2 single crochet into every stitch around until you have a total of 12, just like we did for the head. So 2 single crochet in each stitch around for a total of 12. And then you can go ahead and close your magic circle if you need to by pulling on that loose yarn end on the other side. Now we're going to make our increase rounds. We're going to be making 2 increase rounds. For the first increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. For the last increase round, go ahead and move your yarn marker up. This time you're going to make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the third stitch. Then go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the third stitch. Now go ahead and take your yarn marker and move it up, and you're only going to place 1 single crochet in every stitch around until you've completed 2 rounds. So 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 2 rounds, and then come back. After you finish 2 rounds, then you can go ahead and stuff the inside of the bun. I'm going to go ahead and use the same colored yarn as the stuffing, but you could use craft stuffing if you prefer to do that instead. Then go ahead and move your yarn marker up. We're going to start our first decrease round. For the first decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 3 stitches. Then you're going to make your decrease stitch. So you go into the next stitch over and bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, go into the next stitch and bring up a loop. Then you're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through all 3 for a decrease stitch. Then go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then your decrease stitch. So I ended with a decrease stitch. Then I'm going to take and move my yarn marker up for the next round. For this next decrease round, you're just going to make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then make your decrease stitch. Then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then you can go ahead and remove your yarn marker. We're going to make a slip stitch into the next stitch over. Just yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops on the hook. Then go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the bun onto the head. This is what my bun looks like. I have a little bit of an opening, but that's going to go right onto the back of the head, forming the bun. And then we're just going to sew this onto the doll's head. So this is what mine looks like after completely covering the back of her hair. And then I have the little loops in the front for her bangs. Then you're just going to take your little bun that you made and put your tapestry needle onto the long end that you left for sewing, or just get the same colored yarn to sew the bun on. Then once you have the bun centered where you want it, just take your tapestry needle and you're going to go down into the head and back up on the other side. And you just keep sewing it in place. So now I'm going to go through the bun. You want to make sure you have it centered also. And then I'm just going to go right back through the bun and then down into the head and then back to the opposite side. And just keep going all the way around the bottom portion of the bun and just sew it in place. This is how mine looks after sewing it in place. Now we're going to work on Santa's hair. So you can see that Santa looks exactly like Mrs. Santa, except the no earrings, of course, and the different colored eyes. And now I'm going to make the hair for the Santa. To show you the difference in yarn, I'm using the homespun white yarn for Santa, and you could use this for Mrs. Santa as well if you can't find this style of yarn. I'm using my 4mm crochet hook. The first thing you're going to do is just take your yarn, fold it over on itself to form a loop, and then hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and thumb. Then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through that loop for a slip knot. Then you're going to make a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to make a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So go into the second chain from the hook, bring up a loop, make your single crochet. Then you're going to make a single crochet into the next stitch. Then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and make 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the last stitch. Then you're going to chain 1, turn your work. This time we're going to make a single crochet into the same stitch. So go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, make a single crochet. So that will count as 2 stitches in that 1 stitch. Then you're going to make a single crochet into the next stitch, and then a single crochet into the last stitch. So you're going to have a stitch count of 4 for this row. Then you're going to chain 1, turn your work. This time you're not going to go into the same stitch, you're going to go into the next stitch. So that first chain 1 counts as 1 stitch. Go into the next stitch, make your single crochet. So that's 2. Go into the next stitch for your 3rd stitch, and then a single crochet into that last stitch to finish up with the stitch count of 4. Then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and then you're going to make 3 more rows of 1 single crochet in every stitch for a stitch count of 4. Then again chain 1. I'm just going to go ahead and work this with you. I'm going to work 2 more rows. So this is 1. Then chain 1, turn your work. Then you're going to turn your work. This time you're going to go into the next stitch over. So no chain 1. So that's 1 single crochet. Next stitch, 1 single crochet, and then the last stitch, 1 single crochet. So now you have 3 stitches for that row. Now you chain 1, turn your work, go into the next stitch over, single crochet, next stitch over, single crochet, ended with a stitch count of 3 for that row. We're going to make 1 more row. Go ahead and chain 1, turn your work, go into the next stitch, make a single crochet, next stitch. Whoop. Sometimes this curly yarn is hard to get into the stitch. There, I finished my last row of the stitch count. Then you're just going to turn your work, go into the next stitch over for a single crochet, and then 1 single crochet in that last stitch. So that's a stitch count of 2 for that row. Then you're going to turn your work and just slip stitch into that last stitch. Then you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the mustache onto the doll. For mine, I'm going to take the loose yarn end on the other side and just bury it. So you're going to take and just kind of weave it. Don't lose that little tip that you have on the end. And then just kind of weave it through your work. And then cut that loose yarn end. Then you're just going to kind of take the 2 ends, try to make the points go up. Then take that long end that you left for sewing, put it onto your tapestry needle. And then you're going to weave it towards the center. So just kind of sew it towards the center. Keep the point. And then once you have it into the center, then you're going to pinch the middle and sew it onto the doll. So you just kind of want to pinch the middle so that it makes a little mustache for the doll. Then you're going to place it on the doll, and then I place mine right under the nose and right above the mouth, and then I'm just going to sew it right in the center only with my tapestry needle. This is what mine looks like after I sewed the center only. The rest is really easy. You just take your yarn, place it on your tapestry needle, and then wherever you want the hair, you're just going to take your yarn, come in from the inside of the head, and then come out. Make sure that you leave enough loose yarn end on the inside for tying a knot. And then you're just going to loop it. So just go about a stitch over and then go back through. And then however long you want your beard to be is how long you keep the loop. And you can always trim it later, so if you make it a little bit longer, that is fine because you can always groom it later. So mine I'm going to leave about, looks like about 6 inches, 6 to 8 inches of a loop. And then I'm going to tie a knot on the inside. So here you can see how I'm coming in for my second loop. So I'm just going to, you can put as much or as little hair as you want for your doll, but I'm heading right towards the tip of the mustache. So right at an angle. This is what mine looks like so far. I went down and then I went under the lip, back across. Now I'm just going to flip it over and go right along the bottom and make loops that way. So I'm going to come up right underneath and it'll just thicken up the beard. And again, you're going to want to leave a loose yarn end on the inside and tie a knot. Then I'm just going to make loops just like I did for the previous row. Just kind of go over a stitch and loop the yarn. And I'm going to loop my yarn the same length as the previous loops and just go all the way back. You can see how that thickens it up nicely. Then you're just going to go all along the back edge here and loop the yarn around there. This is what mine looks like so far. I went all the way around. And now what I'm going to do is just take each of the loops. You're going to cut it right at the center of the loop and then just tie a knot. Be careful when you're tying the knot that you don't pull the loops shorter. And then you just go ahead and take each of the loops and just cut them and tie them. Then after you're finished tying your knots, then you can go ahead and groom if you want, or you can wait until you're completely finished with the Santa doll. After you finish the hair on your dolls, then you're ready to close the head. So go ahead and take your crochet hook. You're going to join right where you finished off. Go ahead and bring up a loop with the same colored yarn that you used for your doll. Then you're going to go ahead and chain one and then tie a knot. You can leave the loose yarn ends on the inside. And we're going to start our decrease yarns. Go ahead and get your yarn marker. I just use my scraps of yarn as a yarn marker. Just place it right where you left off. Then you're going to start with your first decrease round. So you're going to make one single crochet into the next 9 stitches. Then you're going to make your decrease stitch. Just take your crochet hook, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 3 for a decrease stitch. Then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. 1 single crochet into 9 stitches and then your decrease. I'm almost back to the yarn marker. I have a few stitches left. Just make a single crochet into each of the remaining stitches. Then go ahead and move your yarn marker up to start the next decrease round. For this decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 8 stitches, and then you're going to make your decrease stitch. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker, and you can see as you're making your decrease stitches around that the hole is going to get smaller and smaller. For the next decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 7 stitches and then make your decrease stitch. Then repeat this pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. For the next round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 6 stitches and then your decrease stitch. Then you guessed it, 1 single crochet in 5 and then your decrease stitch. Then repeat that pattern. Then for your last decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 4 stitches and then your decrease stitch, repeating that pattern all the way around. Then you can go ahead and remove your yarn marker. This is how mine looks so far. Now I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch and close. So just take your crochet hook, go into the next stitch over, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. Then we're going to finish off. Just yarn over, turn the hook upside down and bring enough yarn through to sew the head onto the body. You can always get more yarn if you need it. I just like to leave a little bit on for extra security when sewing it on because it's attached to the head. And you're going to close the Santa head the exact same way.